This is one of the longest-running debates in modern history. So long that it has witnessed revolutions, brought down empires, bankrupted immense powers, and literally split the world in two. Capitalism and socialism. For years, these weren't just economic algorithms. They became sides. They became battle lines. They became identities. Behind every patriotic speech, every workers' strike, every economic collapse, and even many wars, this debate was always there. But there's a truth almost no one likes to say out loud. Neither of these systems ever worked the way the textbooks described them. Whenever things got serious, war, famine, inflation, collapse, their real nature showed itself. Welcome to the Financial Historian. To the place where money, power, and history collide. And to a story where nothing is black and white. In fact, everything began long before anyone said the words capitalism or socialism. For most of human history, there wasn't really an economy. There was survival. Kings said, "God chose me." Land was held in the hands of a few. Ordinary people did whatever they could just to avoid starving. Progress was painfully slow. For thousands of years, life was a zero-sum game. If one person won, someone else had to lose. Wealth came from land. From labor. From war. The idea that an ordinary person could become rich through trade or invention sounded strange back then. Then came the Industrial Revolution. And suddenly, the world accelerated. In the late 1700s, England was boiling. Coal, iron, money, and endless ambition. Machines replaced muscle. Workshops closed, factories opened. And a new power was born, private capital. For the first time, people other than kings could make large investments. They could take risks. They could own things. Production exploded. Some people multiplied their wealth. Others sank deeper into poverty. Cities couldn't breathe through the filth. Children worked 12-hour days. Diseases spread. But one thing was undeniable. No matter how ugly it was, capitalism produced more than the world had ever seen. And this is exactly where socialism was born. Not as a dream, but as a response. Marx and Engels looked at the factories. They watched the workers' strikes. And they said, "The problem isn't people, it's the system, the algorithm." To them, capitalist profits were stolen from workers' labor. If factories belonged to workers, if profits were shared, if production were built for people, maybe life would be fairer for everyone. On paper, it was clean. It was moral. And for millions who were being crushed, it meant hope. But theory and real life don't always get along. The first major experiment with socialism didn't happen in a classroom. It happened in the ruins of an empire. In 1917, Russia collapsed. The Tsar was gone. The old elites fled or were killed. And Lenin inherited a country of 150 million people, hungry, poor, and backward. They needed a new algorithm. This is what they built. Everything belonged to the state. Land, factories, banks. Prices were set by the government. Profit was banned. In the system, everyone was supposed to be equal. In practice, everything turned into a mess. No one knew what to produce or how much. Factories churned out useless goods just to meet quotas. Workers had no reason to do more than the bare minimum. Shortages began. Lines became part of daily life. Agriculture collapsed, and hunger spread like a disease. Even Lenin had to step back. He allowed limited free trade just to keep things alive. But here's the part that makes you think. Despite all this, socialism didn't lose its appeal. Because capitalism didn't look great either. In 1929, the stock market crashed. Banks collapsed. Unemployment exploded. This wasn't just a crisis. It was a heart attack for the system. Many people started to wonder. Maybe capitalism doesn't really work. Then the door to World War II opened. And everything was tested again. The Soviets, despite all their inefficiencies, mobilized at terrifying speed through state power. The United States, with its private companies and factories, turned into a production monster. When the war ended, ideology didn't matter. The numbers spoke. After 1945, the world split in two. One side, planning. The other, markets. And slowly, the results became clear. The Soviets were powerful, but slow. They could build rockets, but not decent refrigerators. The West, meanwhile, put limits on capitalism. Rules were introduced. Social safety nets were built. Capitalism wasn't perfect, but it survived. Because it could revise itself. The Soviets couldn't adapt. And eventually, they collapsed. But the story didn't end there. In 2008, another crisis came knocking. Inequality exploded again. Young people could no longer afford homes. And this time, socialism returned in a softer form. Healthcare, education, taxes, and unions came back into the conversation. Today, the truth is simple. No major country is purely capitalist or purely socialist. Everyone uses a mix. Because human nature stays the same under every system. In markets, power concentrates through money. In states, power concentrates through bureaucracy. The real issue isn't the algorithm. The real issue is who controls the power. History tells us one thing clearly. The system that adapts survives. And this debate never really ended. It just changed shape. Because the fight was never truly between capitalism and socialism. The fight has always been in the same place. Power. If this gave you a different perspective, subscribe. History hides the answers. I'll show you where to look. Take care, my friend.